This will be for the Kuta software worksheet, parallel lines and transversals. Okay, so first I would like to define the term transversal. Okay, that's going to be a line intersecting two or more lines at different points. So we're going to label the transversals on each problem. Okay, just as an example, in problem number 1, we see this line right here intersects the top line and the bottom line at two different points. So this slanted line right here is your transversal. Okay, and we can just call that T. It's basically cutting the other lines. Now for the directions, they want us to identify each pair of angles as corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, or consecutive interior. So, if you recall, just briefly, for corresponding, and we'll go over this in more detail, we'll say corresponding just means the same position. Okay, that the angles are in the same position. So, we'll go over that in a minute. All right, in the definition of alternate, we'll say for alternate, that's going to mean different sides. All right, we'll say different sides of the transversal. All right, so we'll go over that in a minute. And consecutive, another word for consecutive is same side. So consecutive is going to be the same side of the transversal. And finally, as far as exterior and interior, I'm going to label that on the diagram itself. All right, so far the corresponding, that's going to mean the angles are in the same position. Alternate means they're on different sides of the transversal, and consecutive means they're on the same side of the transversal. So looking at number 1, and really this is in general, it doesn't have to be for number 1. The interior part is going to be in between the two lines that are getting cut by the transversal. Okay, so in between these lines, this is the interior right here. This is the interior right here. And outside, that's the exterior. Right here is the exterior. Down here, below the two lines, this is the exterior. And this is the exterior, because the interior is in here. And the exterior is outside. All right, now let's look at the two angles given. All right, we have angle Y right here, and we have angle X. So we can see angle X is on the interior, and we can see angle Y is on the exterior. So there's no way it could be alternate interior, alternate exterior, or consecutive interior. So by process of elimination, it's corresponding, but let's see why. For corresponding, they are in the same position, and you want to look at the angles going from one line to the other, okay? So you have to go along the transversal from one line to the other. Let's say this is line A, and this is line B. So if you looked at the 4 angles that are at line A, and you look at the 4 angles that are at line B, this angle right here Out of these four, it's on the top right. I should do it in a different color so you don't get confused. This angle right here is on the top right. And out of these four angles, this angle right here is also on the top right. So that's what makes them in the same position. Out of these four, this is top right. So these angles are going to be corresponding. You can just write CORR if you like. Okay, those angles are going to be corresponding. All right, let's look at number 2. This line is the line that's cutting through, so that's your transversal, that's T. All right, and interior is in between the two lines, so this is interior. And outside the lines is the exterior. So if you look at the two angles that are given, angle X right here is on the exterior, and angle Y right here is on the exterior. All right, and we see that angle Y is on the right-hand side of the transversal, and angle X is on the left-hand side of the transversal. So those are alternate, and they're both on the exterior. Alternate exterior. All right, let's look at number 4. In between the two lines is the interior. The line that's cutting through is your transversal T. And these angles right here, we have angle Y and angle X. They are both on the same side of T. They're both on the right side of T. So since they're on the same side, we call those consecutive. And since they're on the interior, they are consecutive interior. All right, let's look at number 7. On these types of problems here, it may help to erase some of the lines. All right, so we can see the 3 lines here, and the angles being referenced are this one right here. All right, this one right here is angle X, and this one right here is angle Y. The angles are always going to run along the transversal. So this right here that's cutting through is going to be the transversal T. Okay, this right here, it's also a transversal, but we don't need it. So on your paper, what I would do is just cross this off. Okay, so I would just cross that one off. And then since this line doesn't contain any of the angles, I would cross this one off as well. Okay, and now it's easier to see. As far as the transversal is concerned, this angle X is on the right-hand side, and this angle Y is on the left-hand side. So these are alternate. Okay, and we said when it's in between the lines, that's on the interior. All right, remember we're ignoring this one here. And these angles are on the interior, so this is alternate interior. All right, starting with number 11, they want us to find the measure of each angle indicated. So they are going to be giving us parallel lines here. You see these little triangles here? These indicate that the lines are parallel. All right, so when you have parallel lines that are cut by a transversal, the corresponding, the alternate interior, and the alternate exterior are going to be congruent. That means the angles are the same measurement. And then, for the same scenario, 2 parallel lines cut by a transversal, the consecutive or same side interior and consecutive same side exterior are supplementary. That means they add to 180. So in all these cases here, the two angles that you choose, they're either going to be congruent or supplementary, which means they add to 180 degrees. All right, so let's look at 11. And before you do each problem, these are pretty easy. I would identify the type of angles that you're looking at first. All right, so this right here is your transversal T. And we're looking at this angle here and this angle right here. Now you can see both of these angles are outside of the parallel line, so these are going to be exterior. And this angle here is on the left, this angle here is on the right, so those are going to be alternate exterior. Okay, and what did we say about alternate exterior in the notes? Alternate exterior angles are congruent as long as the lines are parallel. So this angle is the same as this angle, so the question mark just equals 110 degrees, all right, nothing to calculate. All right, on number 13, again, these lines are given parallel. These two red triangles indicate that the lines are parallel. This line here is your transversal T, and we see these angles are on the interior. Okay, and they are both on the left-hand side of the transversal. So we have this and this angle here. All right, so since they're on the interior, we'll say interior. And see, they're both on the left or the same side. We call that consecutive. Okay, consecutive interiors, and we said in the notes, those are supplementary. That means they add to 180. All right, so it's pretty simple. We got the 100, and we got the question mark. And when you add those together, they equal 180. Solving for question mark, you just subtract 100 from both sides. Cancels here. And the question mark equals 80 degrees. All right, so up to number 18, it's pretty easy. I would label the type of angles first, just for practice. Okay, but almost all these cases, I think the angles are going to be congruent. All right, in the next section, they want us to solve for x. We're going to need to do a little algebra. All right, let's look at number 20. We have this angle here, and we have this angle right here, and this line here is your transversal T. All right, both of these angles are to the left of the transversal. So those are same side or consecutive. And I'm probably just writing this for nothing, because if you look at it, this one here is on the exterior, and this angle here is on the interior. So they're not going to be consecutive exterior-interior. What they are going to be is corresponding. All right, and how do I know that? Well, once again, if you take these four angles right here, this one is on the top left. And if you take these four angles right here, this one again is on the top left. Those are in the same position, so that makes them corresponding. We said in the notes when the lines are parallel, corresponding are congruent. So we're going to set them equal to each other. All right, so let's see. We're just setting them equal. This angle is 75 degrees. And this angle is represented by this expression, 11x minus 2. All right, now we're just solving for x. The opposite of minus 2 is plus 2. You do that to both sides. 75 plus 2 is 77. Bring down the equals, bring down the 11x, and 2 minus 2 is gone. Okay, here we have x times 11. The opposite is divided by 11. And the 11's cancel. 77 divided by 11 is just 7. And we're left with x equals 7. So that's it for number 20. They just wanted us to solve for x. All right, I would say in most cases, these angles are going to be congruent and you're going to be setting them equal to each other. All right, let's look at number 23. This right here is a transversal T. All right, both of these angles are outside of the two lines that are parallel, so this is definitely exterior. And I can see this angle is on the left, and this angle here is on the right, so those are alternate exterior. And we know that alternate exterior angles are congruent. So we're just going to set them equal to each other. All right, so negative 1 plus 14x is going to equal 12x plus 17. All right, and we're solving for x. So you want x's on one side, numbers on the other. I like to try to keep x positive. You don't have to, but I usually subtract the one with the smaller x. So 12x is less than 14, so I'm going to subtract 12x. You have to do the same to both sides. 14 minus 12 is 2, and we still have x. Bring down the equal sign. 12x minus 12x is gone. Okay, since my x's are on the left, I want the numbers on the right. The opposite of negative 1 is positive 1. You do the same to both sides. This cancels here, and 17 plus 1 is 18. All right, this is x times 2. The opposite of times 2 is divided by 2. And 18 divided by 2 is just 9. So that's your x. All right, last section. They want us to find the measure of the angle indicated in bold. So it's pretty simple. It's the same as above. Okay, we're going to solve for x, just like we did above. But there is one final step at the end, and you have to plug it in. Okay, which one do you plug it into? Well, you plug it into the one that's in bold, because that's the one that they want, the one that is in bold face. All right, so it's the same thing, but you have to plug it in at the end. All right, let's look at 25. We have this line cutting through the other two, so that's your transversal. All right, and this angle here, and we have this angle here. Okay, they are in between the two lines. Let me use a different color here. They're in between the two lines, so that's interior. And they are, if you look at the transversal, they are both on the same side. They're both on the right. So these are same side or consecutive. All right, for consecutive interior, when the lines are parallel, those are supplementary. All right, that means they add up to 180. So all we have to do is take these two and add them together, set it equal to 180. All right, so let's do that. We have x plus 96. And we're going to add the other angle, x plus 96. And they are supplementary, so they equal 180. Combining like terms, x plus x gives us 2x. 96 plus 96 is 192. And that equals 180. Okay, solving for x, the opposite of plus 192 is minus 192. It cancels here. You bring down your 2x. You bring down your equal sign. 180 minus 192 is negative 12. Okay, this is x times 2. The opposite of times 2 is divided by 2. Cancels here. And negative 12 divided by 2 is going to be negative 6. Now, that's not the angle. That is just x. So you want to take that negative 6 and plug it in. So both of these angles are the same, but we wanted the one in boldface. So this is the one in boldface. So we're going to take the negative 6. And I'll do it in blue here. We're going to take the negative 6 and plug it in place of x. So that gives us negative 6 plus 96. 96 minus 6 is just 90. Now, truthfully, we didn't need to do any of that to know that it was 90. And why is that? Because both of them are the same, x plus 96 and x plus 96. If they're both the same and they add to 180, each one has to be half of 180 or 90 degrees. All right, so that's number 25. So it looks like 26 is going to be almost the same thing. These are same side interior, consecutive interior, consecutive interior. So they're going to add to 180. And this one is corresponding. You're going to set them equal.